Welcome everyone to the YouTube Slate preview here on Fantasy Cruncher for the Tuesday, February 11th 5-game slate. What we're going to do is we're going to draw two winners for a free week of Fantasy Cruncher Pro. We'll go ahead and draw last week, and then we'll draw one just for today. So leave in the comments section your Fantasy Cruncher name and the player you think that scores the most fantasy points on the entire slate. Fantasy Cruncher username again, and player who gets the most fantasy points on the slate, you'll be entered into drawing for a free week of Fantasy Cruncher Pro. If you already got it, we'll just tack on a week to your subscription. Easy enough. Subscribe and, of course, like the video. Really does help us out a lot. We got 5 games. Let's get right to it. This is one of the more fun slates I think we've had in a while. We got 3 totals over 230. We got some bad defensive teams playing. We got some good offense. Well, not in this first game. Clippers at Philly. 224 total. The injury news here is simply that Pat Beverly is out. So we have everyone else back. Kawhi Leonard, 9,300. Had that big hot streak, and then has just been involved in a bunch of blowouts recently. They had a big win against Miami, got run out of the building in Minneapolis. So if he plays 4 quarters, I do expect him to hit his ceiling here. And I think at 9,300, we're getting a nice discount on that. So Kawhi Leonard is definitely one of the studs that I'm strongly considering. Right now at Fantasy Cruncher, we have him projected for 53 fantasy points. That's good for 5.7 times value. That's pretty dang good for a superstar. So Kawhi right now is one of the studs I'm looking at. Embiid, had been really, really bad, and then put up a monster game against Chicago, like any big should. I think he's okay here against the Clippers, but I'm not prioritizing him. Paul George, 8K, still kind of playing 26 to 30 minutes. He's a guy I'm targeting really after the All-Star break, where I think that minutes restriction will just disappear. So 8,000 for Paul George is definitely a price we'll come back to, just not today. In terms of the other Clippers guys, don't mind Lou Will, don't mind Montrez at 57, but you're really hoping Trez gets more run against the backups. But the way Philly does their rotation, he should draw a lot of Embiid, so that's not all that hot. Marcus Morris, 5,100. Expected to play for the Clippers here. Again, didn't play a whole lot in that last game he played against Cleveland. They won by a gazillion points, but he looked good. But Kawhi was out for that game, so 5,100 for Marcus Morris. I can't get there. 5-game slate. We got some higher totals on the board. For the Philly, it really is kind of a team that I've just been avoiding. Glenn Robinson III, Alec Burks expected to play here. They played against the Bulls. Korkmaz has just been on a tear. I mean, it's going to end eventually. He's not going to shoot 80% from the field the rest of the way and 65% from 3. Tough matchup here against the Clippers. So, people are going to go back to him, but I certainly won't be one of them. I wasn't going back to him last time. Certainly won't go back to him this time. Okay, that's it for the first game. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Chicago at Washington here. Injuries here are slightly more prevalent here. Zach LaVine is probable. Thomas Bryant is out. Thomas Satoransky probable. Lauri Markkanen out. Wendell Carter out. Otto Porter out. Chris Dunn out. Ryan Arcidiacono, game time decision, but I expect him to play. And Denzel Valentine is a true game time decision. So for the Bulls, that means we're looking at a pretty short rotation here. We're looking at 10 guys. 3 guys we're projecting for 15 or less minutes here. That means we're going to get a lot of minutes for Zach LaVine against the Wizards, 8,200. This means a ton of shots for Zach LaVine. We've seen it, against Philly. That was a harder matchup, but looking at 20 to 25 shots here. Going to have to run all the offense. The Wizards' defense is one of the worst in the league. It's back to being bad with Ian Mahinmi playing basically no center minutes. So Zach LaVine, 8,200. Definitely a stud that I'm looking at very hard today for my teams. Thad Young, 53, is fine. Just not a ton of ceiling there. Chandler Hutchinson, kind of a hit or miss play. Actually been playing okay recently, but actually I don't mind that necessarily. Price isn't up too much. Pace up spot for the Wizards. Yeah, we're actually projecting him at 28 fantasy points here at Fantasy Cruncher. Good for 6x value. Can't say that Chandler Hutchinson was a guy I was looking at when I kind of opened up the slate, but at that price, small forward, power forward eligible. I think on a 5-game slate, that's going to have some value. Kobe White, hit or miss, but he definitely could hit against this bad Wizards defense. Same with Cornette. Kind of like all the Bulls here. They're kind of all cheap. Cornette, White, Hutchinson, Levine, kind of mix and match those guys. Everyone else is going to play low minutes, so I'm not really going to attach those. But the guys who I think are going to play good minutes here, Hutchinson, White, Cornette, I definitely think can mix and match into your squads here with Zach LaVine. For the Wizards, Shabazz Napier is the new addition here. Played 18 and 21 minutes, which I find really weird why he's playing fewer minutes than Isaiah Thomas ever was. But that's where we're at. So if that's going to be the case, Ish Smith, 4,800 against the Bulls is going to be the play. But again, Ish Smith really hasn't had much usage either. Don't mind Bertans at 54. Hachimura coming off 2 of his better games of the season. Wouldn't chase this, but I would note that probably leaves a little more ceiling for Davis Bertans. So if Roy Hachimura plays poorly, Davis Bertans will get extra minutes. So Bertans at 54 I think is a really strong option. Bradley Beal, finally had a bad game, but it's Bradley Beal. So I think this is a nice rebound spot against the Bulls. Don't mind Troy Brown. Don't mind some of these other guys, but they're just really not enough ceiling on them yet. Oh, they're playing Jerome Robinson minutes. Oh, that's why Shabazz Napier's not playing as many minutes as I would think. That makes sense. Okay, that does make sense. So, yeah, really for the Wizards, it's Bertans, it's Beal, and then I guess if you really wanted to get cute, Roy Hachimura. Maybe Mo Wagner, if he can get up to 28 minutes. Is that possible? I guess if Thomas Bryant sits, that's possible. Mahinmi plays 20, he plays 28. Don't hate Mo Wagner at 4,300 against the Bulls, too. Their center rotation's pretty terrible. Not exactly a natural guy to cover someone at the three-point line. So Mo Wagner actually at 4,300. More I think about that. Got some interest there as well. All right, let's move on to the main event. It is Portland. It is the Pelicans. Injury news in this game. Brandon Ingram, game time decision. Simons, game time decision. And everyone else is out here. So, just a reminder, I haven't done one of these videos. This week, heading into the All-Star break with only Tuesday and Wednesday a full slate of games, I treat questionables as out because if a player misses, only 1 or 2 games, then they get a full 2 weeks of rest. And like what happened to DeMar DeRozan last night, there's always an injury or two that pops up where a guy's been managing it the entire season and then takes this opportunity to rest it in the name of getting the extra 2 weeks on the back end. So we saw it with DeMar DeRozan. I actually thought it was going to be Anthony Davis. It was DeMar DeRozan. But I wouldn't be surprised if another one pops up today. So just be careful. Be ready to late swap. That being said, looking at this game, I'm a huge Hassan Whiteside guy. The Pelicans just simply have no one in the middle to stop him. He's been on fire other than that Denver game, which was just a really poor spot. It was a back-to-back. You won't see it here because he missed the first half, but it was a back-to-back. So I really like Hassan Whiteside. 8,100 for me is just way too cheap. He's going to be a core play for me. We haven't projected it. It's 6.2 times value, 50 fantasy points. I actually might be willing to go even higher than that. Damian Lillard has just been, I don't know what to call him. He's just been unbelievable. I've faded him most of the time in this hot streak. I'll own it. I have just faded him most of the time during this hot streak. I just can't believe that this is possible, and he just keeps doing it over and over and over again. 240 total here. It's hard to ignore. They need to win this game. Tough matchup against Giroux, but Dame Lillard really hasn't cared about tough matchups. So, comparing him to some of the other studs, we'll look at that back at the end, but I'm not sure I'm going to get to Dame. Giroux, 79. Love that, obviously. If Brandon Ingram's out, just went absolutely bonkers against the Pacers and would do so again. Zion was out that game too, huh? Maybe I'm not so high on Giroux, but I really like Giroux, even if Brandon Ingram's out. But Zion is back. Practiced in full. So, again, I think he's just a bit overpriced, but I like him. Lonzo Ball, same type of deal. Just think he's a smidge overpriced. In terms of the value guys, Derek Favors, 5K. Can play 20 to 24 minutes here against Portland, but I'm not super thrilled about it. JJ Redick, after playing him forever, playing JJ Redick. I've talked about him a ton on this show. Finally had that big game over the weekend where I took a day off. But he can get hot in a hurry, so I wouldn't just dismiss him here at 4,500, especially if Brandon Ingram's out, especially against this Portland team that doesn't have any wing defenders. I wouldn't just dismiss JJ Redick because that price went up. Gary Trent Jr. has just been on a massive heater. He's not going to shoot this well forever, but the price really hasn't risen to the point where a lot of the risk is taken out. So if he's going to play 34, 35 minutes, I have interest for sure. Other than that, I really don't have interest there on the Portland side or really the New Orleans side. Really, for me, it's Carmelo 4,900. He's just been so cold, but the price is so cheap. If you wanted to play a Carmelo, I would understand, but I don't like Carmelo. I never understood Carmelo. Like 6K Carmelo getting there early in the season was really just confusing me. I think this is the type of player I really expected to have the whole year. So I'm just going to stay away from Carmelo. But if you told me that you wanted to play him for ceiling, I would totally understand it. Just not my cup of tea. I think that's it for this game, though. Yeah. All right, let's do it. So let's move on to the next game. San Antonio at Oklahoma City. As I mentioned, DeMar DeRozan doubtful after he missed last night's game. LaMarcus Aldridge only 6,700. He's going to be one of the top value plays on the slate. Put up 50 last night in a tough loss at Denver. Against Denver or at Denver? At Denver. So they have the back-to-back travel to Oklahoma City. It's not that bad of a flight. But still, you are losing an hour in the time zone. But 6,700 for Aldridge is too cheap. DeJounte Murray, 5,200. With all that usage available from DeMar DeRozan. Played really well. Played a bunch of minutes against Denver. I would expect more of the same today. If you're looking for other guys to take some shots, could be Bryn Forbes. Took a bunch of shots last night. It could be Patty Mills. It could be Trey Lyles, who played pretty well last night. I think if you had to ask me who it's going to... Lonnie Walker, I guess, could play a bunch of minutes. He actually got the start and played okay. This is a little bit of a better matchup than Denver would be. If you had to ask me who I prefer the most, it's probably Bryn Forbes. He's been the most consistent. They'll play him with DeJounte Murray. Derek White just has this problem that Pop will not play him with DeJounte Murray. Let me actually just show you. I'm actually kind of curious how many minutes we're at on the season. For a while, we were at like 10 minutes on the season. I know it's not that low now. I know they've played a little bit more. But I just want to show you. You can basically project. Let's go to team. Let's go to fantasy. So they have played. This isn't right. There we go. They've played 70 minutes on the floor the entire season. That basically comes out to like 2 minutes per game. So again, right, Derek White, you just can't play them together. So, but Bryn Forbes and DeJounte Murray go together. So if you're gonna play DeJounte Murray, I would, and you're stacking it up a little bit, trying to play this value, I certainly would go with Bryn Forbes over Derek White because that's a combination that plays a lot together. And don't play White or Murray. That's a standing rule for me. But again, DeJounte Murray, we got projected at 6.2 times X right now. So that's definitely a strong play. Lonnie Walker's a strong play too. I wouldn't dismiss Lonnie Walker. He's only 3,000. And on a slate where I just mentioned there's a bunch of studs I would like to get in. Definitely could see myself just jamming in a couple of these value guys to go ahead and fit the studs that I want to fit from those earlier games. And we've got some more studs in the late game too. This is going to be a good basketball game. Boston at Houston. Jaylen Brown is in. Eric Gordon is out till after the break. So the Celtics finally, for what is the first time in a long time, are healthy. And they have their entire team. The prices on the Celtics are all down. They're fair. I think this is more, from the Celtics' perspective, a game where you're going to have to take a dart, right? One of these guys can go off. I'm just not sure which one it's going to be, right? We haven't seen everyone healthy here for the Celtics in a long time. So I'm not eager to pay like the full Jason Tatum 8,400 price, and I love Jason Tatum. I've been a Jason Tatum truther forever. But I just can't imagine playing him at 8,400. Like, if he goes off at 8,400, I'll be the happiest Celtics fan alive. But I don't think it's a good play, just compared to all the other studs on the board. You know, find the 2,000 and get to Damian Lillard. Kemba 77, I'm kind of running the same issues. Hayward and Brown at 66 is the one I love. I just like Jaylen Brown's game. I think he's played so well this year. this type of pace-up game where some steals and blocks could be available kind of fits him more, but I just don't really feel good about the pricing on this team. For the Celtics, it's gonna be or for the Rockets, I mean, Harden's been playing better. I just can't imagine playing 11-4 for him when Dame Lillard's 10-3, to be honest. I think the Celtics are going to let Westbrook shoot early and often. And so Westbrook at 99, I think is the option if I had to go there. But the Celtics defense is so good, I don't want to be in the business of, attacking the Celtics defense. But Westbrook at 9,900, if I'm playing a few teams, I definitely can see rotating him in there as well. Covington 52 is probably a nice option. I think this is where he gets the full 35, 40 minutes here. But, again, I'm not sure the Celtics defense is really the spot I want to attack him with. PJ Tucker 4,400 playing minute center is a really good option here against the Celtics. So, the Celtics are one of the smaller teams in the league and can't rebound a ton. So, PJ Tucker is going to do better than you think in the rebounding department. Also, probably means that the Celtics guys are going to do better in the rebounding department, too. I bet you the Rockets aren't going to contest a ton of rebounds, the more I think about this. Actually, the more I think about this, I really am curious what their rebound rate has been. Or how many rebounds they've gotten per game since they went to the small ball lineup. The Jazz is going to be an outlier. Let's see. They got the Jazz 48 rebounds to 36 for Houston. That's not terrible. Not good. And they got blown out by the Suns. Let's look at the Lakers. Houston 37, Lakers 38. So they haven't been getting out rebounded a ton. So again, I think if that's the case, PJ Tucker at 4,400 is pretty sneaky, especially with Eric Gordon out. I think the minutes are going to be super secure. I mean, I know he only got 3 rebounds against Utah, but that was against Gobert. I'm going to give him a pass on that. And then Phoenix was against Ayton. That's also a pass. And then the Lakers, again, that's another huge team. So I think there's a little bit more rebounding upside here for PJ Tucker than you might think. But also Westbrook and Harden will do their scoop in and get the rebounds thing as well. So there's ceiling on Westbrook. I think Westbrook's the one that if I had to play one, is the one I'd play. Have to imagine that Marcus Smart's going to be on James Harden, and the Celtics are going to be like, all right, Westbrook, go do your thing and try to beat us. I can't imagine they would try a defensive strategy that was anything else in this game. So just to kind of recap the studs. I got to hit select all. So Dame Lillard, Bradley Beal, Kawhi Leonard. In this 9K plus, Kawhi Leonard's still my favorite option of the board. And then after that, it's probably really close between Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook and Dame Lillard. I think those are guys I'm definitely going to try to rotate through. If I use those value plays, I should be able to get 3 of them in on some teams from the Spurs. So that's probably the goal right now, is to get 3 of these studs in with some of that Spurs value. I'm not sure what other value there really is on the board, though. If we look at value, top options here, Lonnie Walker, Carmelo. I don't really want to do Carmelo. DeJounte Murray's 52, and then you got those value Spurs. So it looks like the Spurs are going to be the top place for value. Could definitely see a Trevor Ariza, Carmelo, a Chandler Hutchinson we talked about. Some of those other Bulls, too, that were early on I was kind of like meh about, I think are really important here. Just looking at kind of the studs on the slate, taking shots on Chandler Hutchinson, Kobe White, and Luke Cornett makes a lot more sense to me once I see how high or how good the quality of the stars are today. So I think that's definitely an option for us that we should be looking at kind of as the day goes on. Obviously, some injury news will always pop up. So tune into fantasycruncher.com. We have all our articles are free. If you're a Fantasy Cruncher member, our Discord channel is always available. We're breaking down the latest news basically every minute of every day. Not every minute of every day, but definitely all day before lock. We're definitely in there chilling and helping break down all the latest NBA news. So check that out. You can always link your Fantasy Cruncher subscription to your Discord channel by just going to my profile. And then when you hit the my profile account, you just hit that link Discord account button, and you're ready to roll. With that, guys, really appreciate you tuning in for the Tuesday Slate preview. Again, please subscribe, like, and leave in the comments section along with your Fantasy Cruncher username the player you think who scores the most raw points for a chance to win a Fantasy Cruncher Pro subscription for a week. We'll draw 2 winners tomorrow 2 winners tomorrow, so make sure you leave that comment in the comment section. Until then, guys, good luck in your contests.